I tell you, Jimmy and JoAnne, they could declare anarchy and people still wouldn't believe it, but we're in it. How are
You're
you
in it,
guys
you're living
doing
it.
tonight? Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing okay. When
Yeah.
someone can slap a camera out of your hand and
And-
nothing happens to them and there's no one to go to complain, you're in anarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
There's no
that's
protection
the
for the
second
people.
time that happened.
Yep. There's no protection for the people. That's anarchy.
Yeah.
There's no rule of law, you know?
Yeah.
And why should the U.S. people who pay taxes support cities with grant money from Washington, D.C. if they're not protecting the people that live there?
I agree. It's a huge problem. I mean, you know, I support President Trump and I agree with this declaration of an anarchist jurisdiction, but I'm a bit concerned about what the the ramifications might be for me as somebody living in New York City.
Yeah, it's the DOJ that declared it.
Yeah. But Jason, the thing that you have to have the rule of law brought back to the entire United States. And so you take the biggest offenders and you shut off their money valve, and pretty soon all that anarchy has to stop. But as I've said all along, it would be so easy to defund all these entities. The way the Federal Reserve works and the way the U.S. dollar works, they could shut off all funding from every organization Soros is involved in, and that would eliminate the money going to all these subversive organizations. And it can be done really very, very easily, but nobody talks about that. You shut off the money. Nobody is going to go out in the streets and risk life and limb if they're not getting paid to do it.
Why aren't they shutting it off? Because the guys who control the money are the guys behind this mess.
Yeah.
It's
Usual suspects are running D.C. and they're running the money scam and all that, So it's a tough place to be. But yeah, you may suffer from that. They're going to shut off. The first thing that your criminal mayor and your criminal governor are going to do is they're going to try to make your life hard. They're going to support the bad guys and add duress to the legitimate New Yorkers. And, when that happens, the mayor needs to be replaced. The government needs to replace. How are you going to do that?
Well,
it's in California, they have this recall process, but I've recently learned that New York doesn't have that. It's only the governor that can recall the mayor or how do we recall the governor? Right. They're both a disaster.
Yeah,
well,
basically. We've got the same mess here in Texas. The only way a special session can be called is if the governor does it. And, of course, he's not going to do it because he is an absolute sellout, traitor, deep stater,
troll.
He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And we thought we had a pretty good lieutenant governor. He also could.
He hasn't done anything.
He hadn't done anything either. So we're sitting here in Texas with the ability to do it, but not any legislator is taking the steps necessary.
So what they've done is there's huge amount of lawsuits against the governor here, against mayors, against all kinds of, there's all kinds of legal steps that have been taken, and the people, the militias in Texas have stepped up to stop these Black Lives Matter people from coming to the cities here. So they're policing their own cities.
But see, the Supreme Court here has a fast track. And if politicians bring action up and it meets the criteria, the Supreme Court has to listen to it. The Supreme Court has not put any of those lawsuits on the docket yet. Not any of them.
Yeah, see, this is where he shot himself in the foot. He does not have the authority to spend money without the Congress.
Yeah.
And so this is where he's going to get impeached, or he's going to get slapped, or something's going to happen.
He can't get around this one.
He cannot get around this one. This is where he absolutely ruined himself.
And this guy brought in, the first month, he brought in 4,000 UN white helmets and blue helmets to do the contact tracing. None of them are U.S. citizens. None of them have any official training in military. They're only CIA, Mossad, MI6 trained terrorists. So this governor brought those into Texas to do contact tracing.
Yeah, well, he's trying to back off of that. He's doing the shuffle. He's trying to say, wait a minute, but he's done it. So he's in trouble. He's in big trouble here.
He has
But what-
he has agreed to reopen partially open the state. Like restaurants can now have 75% occupancy, but no bars can be opened because the bars ignored his mandates and dictates, and they said, "Screw you, we're opening up." So he's punishing them because they've been open.
Well, they said
Wow.
if 500 people can go into Walmart next to each other, checking out and shopping and everything, there's no reason they can't come in and eat a hamburger and have a beer here. There's no reason
Right.
for that. And so he just said, well, I'll think about it. But in the meantime, all bars are closed and the bars opened anyway. They said, we're taking you to court. There's a whole bunch of lawsuits against him for that.
Here's what they did. They came to this genius and his all his ne'er-do-wells in the government in Texas said, well, we can allow the bars to operate if they're selling at least 51%
Food.
of their revenues in food.
Right.
So a lot of these bars opened up and said, okay, here's a $10 hot dog, your drink's free. And of course, then these assholes at Austin, they came out, no, you've got to have a commercial kitchen. It's got to be cleared. It's got to be checked.
Exactly.
$1,275 is your application fee. They come out and look at it. If you don't pass, your $1,275 been spent. You got to do it again.
What?
So it's a revenue stream for them.
It's a scam. Criminal. It's criminal. It's a scam. These people are irate. These bar owners are up in arms here, and they just said, one of them up by Tyler just recently is going to host a Trump deal. She's opened up she's got music going, and she says, come and get me. I've complied with everything you said. Come and get me.
You better not take your beer away from the good old boys. They will fight back. So
that's exactly right.
Wrong area to step into.
When you see the steps that these criminal governors are taking, when you see what they're doing,
it's like they sit in a room and make up rules that people can't comply with.
So far beyond the pale. And when people have finally had enough,
and they're mandates, they're not laws.
Yeah,
they're mandates. They're suggestions.
And there's not one state in the United States.
Yep, there you go.
Has penalties and everything for. Here's Texas. This is a good shot.
This is fresh off the presses here. Welcome.
Yeah.
So people were watching. I was just out on the streets of New York asking people around in my neighborhood if they were even aware that we've been declared this anarchist jurisdiction. They didn't care. They think this is Donald Trump's fault. And I have to say, that is kind of stupid, but I'm not surprised because basically it seems if you can create economic or other chaos during a particular presidency, the bulk of people are just going to say, hey, Trump's the president. I lost my job. All the businesses are burned down and bashed in and closed up and spray painted. This is bad. I need to vote for somebody else. That's the basic premise, right?
Yeah, well, it's brainwashing.
It's even worse than that. We've got not some friends, but they're the very closest friends of our family members in Northern California. One of them is a doctor that is in charge of a division of the healthcare for Northern California, and his wife.
No, he just works in a
Yeah.
He's not in charge.
And his wife is also a college graduate. Very bright people, and their new deal about Trump. Oh, if he gets reelected, his plan is to kill all the old people.
And
all the old people, everybody above 65.
I was talking to my family with my sister last night. I said, "Did they really say?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "I told her I'm not talking to you anymore. Just don't talk about that. We'll talk about cooking or something else, but don't even bring that up."
How the tomatoes doing? But anybody that's that stupid, and where does this come from? These are educated people. Where do they get that idea? Because if anything. The liberals are the ones killing the folks.
He's the guy in charge. We have the Peter principle now has come to this country. People have reached their level of incompetency, and that's one of them right there.
Yeah, we were speaking to the guys.
Incompetent ever.
He's bad. You know what though? I don't like to say it's incompetence because I think it's deliberate, and I think incompetent is somebody who's just unable to. Do anything, right? They're not able to get anything done. He's been remarkably effective in destroying the city.
If it's deliberate, then it's really bad.
What she said was he was incontinent.
That's right. Now you're talking about Joe Biden.
This level of incompetence.
Oh, really? I mean, what these guys spew, and you're right, it's evil. What they're doing is evil. There's a great quote from Barr. He was interviewed, and we've got that we'll show on the regular show. It's just about a 1-minute video, but he comes out and nails it. He said, this is worse than slavery.
What he said was the lockdown is the greatest attack on civil liberties in this country since slavery. And he said it on NBC or CBS or one of them. I can't remember which one, but he said this is an attack on human on the American
worst.
citizens' civil liberties. Is the worst attack.
Yeah.
So, really,
you've got a lot of politicians that are beginning to see their constituents are so upset about everything that they know that if they want to have a chance to walk across the street without getting an egg thrown in their face, they're going to have to start, walking walk and talking the talk, doing what's correct.
Well, I think there needs to be a cleansing.
Oh man, that's
cleansing
true.
of
oh man.
all. I mean, it's so hard to find any decent politicians now. They're all bought off.
There's not any of them that are salvageable, really. They've got so much corruption. They've added so much wealth to their own pocket.
Look at Epstein. Look at the blackmail that was done to control them. Look at the lobbyists that control them. Look at the stuff that goes on. This is not just happening here, Jason. This is all over the world. We're seeing people having an uprising, and God bless the Libyans. They have been suffering like you can't believe. They're absolutely having an uprising. We've got the first time ever we've been authorized to deliver a security sit rep directly from the security forces in Egypt, delivered to the Libyan tribes. This is it, right?
We're going to be releasing it tonight, and it is a very, very important. We were concerned about it, but they said no. This is going to be publicized.
It'll be publicized in the next day, and so
this morning.
It was already out today.
This morning, part of that came out, so it's going to be a real interesting sit rep. It really details a lot of things nobody's ever heard of.
Needless to say, Erdogan is losing.
Yeah,
he's losing. He's sinking. He's going into the abyss.
Yeah,
and I just talked to one of my main contacts with the tribes tonight, and he said it is being told to them that the EU will call a meeting of all its members within the next day or so to sanction and do something to Turkey. All the EU is going to do it.
Wow.
Dangerous. He's a dangerous guy. And he has been given his bridle has been taken off, and he's been allowed to run free for years, beginning when Obama was elected. And he was being put into position when Bush was still president. Then when Obama came in, who is a Muslim Brotherhood, Erdogan is the
home of Muslim Brotherhood.
He's the head of Muslim Brotherhood, not the military head. But all these things, moving the military command of NATO into Turkey, and all those weapons and all that force went into Turkey, and of course it's completely under his control. So bad deal.
Now, I've been seeing some news just today in preparation for our show. I was looking around at this. There's renewed calls in the Mockingbird press here, basically everybody who hates Trump, now saying that they're going to investigate the ties between Trump and Turkey. And here we see this guy again, Lev Parnas. Do you know who this guy's lawyer was? Or no, sorry. He was mentioned in a lawsuit brought by the same attorney who is representing Robert David Steele. Lev Parnas appeared in a lawsuit. They're talking about Svetlana Lakova, or maybe it was in one of the numerous Devin Nunes lawsuits. But this guy, Lev Parnas, has been linked to Rudy Giuliani and now President Trump. I have to say, just the fact that his name is showing up here and the fact that we've seen him elsewhere, this guy reeks of being an operational plant inserted into these relationships so that he could then, months later, emerge to be a whistleblower.
Yeah. Well, Trump has a real problem because he's had a very, 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 very close working relationship with Erdogan. He was on the phone with him a couple of times a week for months and months and months. And just last week, he listed Erdogan as one of the top leaders in the world. And so Trump, since now Erdogan's being taken down for all the reasons we've been telling everybody for a year and a half.
We said last week that the United States has now sided with Greece against Turkey.
Yeah.
So obviously there's been some wake up going on there about Erdogan and what is actually happening.
But Trump is still, he's got a black eye coming over that.
Yeah,
sure.
but you can't impeach him over that.
No, I'm not talking about impeaching.
That's what they're talking about.
Yeah, but
they're looking for anything, They could have impeached
right.
Obama over what he did with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah,
but nobody ever wanted to talk about that.
Trump never moved NATO into Turkey. That was Obama and company.
So what was it that you feel specifically was impeachable? Sorry, Jimmy, to interrupt, but JoAnne, what do you think was impeachable that Obama did with the Muslim Brotherhood? Flesh that out for us.
Well, he gave $8 billion to Morsi in Egypt to buy half the Sinai Peninsula for the Muslim Brotherhood. That is not allowed,
That was
period.
one of the things he did. He also had the Muslim Brotherhood in his inner circle. They were the ones, we were told by Eric Maddox, who came to our house from the DIA, that the FBI used the Muslim Brotherhood to translate Arabic intelligence for them.
Also said Muslim Brotherhood was setting the agenda in the United States.
Yes, he told us that. He said the Muslim Brotherhood is setting the agenda.
So Obama is and always has been a Muslim
Brotherhood.
That's
treasonous. That's treasonous right there.
And there's so many links and ties. Nobody wants to look at it. But that's all there. It has been documented all over the world except here. That's not
something we read. That was told to us by the agent of the DIA.
Now, Candace is watching us on Facebook. I now have the ability to chat interactively with our Facebook viewers. Candace wants to know, is Erdogan the Antichrist? I don't know if we have that answer.
I don't know. Listen.
That's a religious question. I couldn't answer that, but I can say he's evil. He's a bad guy. He wants to recreate the Ottoman Empire at the cost of millions of people being killed, and theft of many countries and all kinds of bad things, which he is losing now.
He's a bad guy. Always has been.
He is he should not be a leader of anything. Let's put it that way.
Possibly the most disappointing aspect of Erdogan is that he's trying to recreate the Ottoman Empire, and he hasn't even had the wherewithal to get the hat. That's
right.
No, that's right.
That's right.
Get that hat out, and then we can talk.
With him. First thing he should have done was get that hat. How he did get the building though, or his million whatever castle.
1,000 rooms.
What do you guys anticipate happening? What's going to come out of this? Erdogan seems to have consolidated power in the region, and he seems almost undefeatable right now.
No, he's being taken out as we speak.
Yeah, the problem he's having now is no countries are going to trade with him. His people are hungry. He's sinking into the abyss of no money, into debt. He can't do anything about it.
He's not being allowed to borrow more money for his war machine.
And there's been a demand. He's trying very hard to get Egypt to work with him, and General Sisi told him the only way we work with Turkey is if you're not the leader.
Ooh.
You're not anywhere around. He and all his cadre.
You and your group have to leave.
But this sitrep details exactly what's been going on. Leaders of the Turkish military, legitimate leaders, and security people in Turkey have been trying to negotiate with Egypt
behind Erdogan's back.
What's it going to take to get our commerce started again? Because the Turkish companies have been shut off. Another thing that Erdogan's done that is unconscionable is he's got these dead Turkish soldiers that died in Libya, they died in Yemen, they died in Sudan and Syria, all over. And he's not shipping the bodies home. So the people, they want to know what they can't get in contact with their sons and their husbands, what's happened to them. They're upset now because the military is releasing the information they died in a foreign war.
And were buried there.
And Erdogan has lied to the people of Turkey, not let them know that those soldiers were killed, etc. And all this started when his house of cards started to fall, was when that airport, that military base, Al-Watiya, was blown up
by an unknown source.
Yeah, and that ranking general that was going to be the military governor of Libya,
of Tripoli,
was blown up, and all the higher ranking Turkish soldiers were killed. That's what tripped the whole thing. And now then the people, well, he was killed. Where are all our sons and fathers and everything? And see, that's a terrible thing. They don't know, and he's been keeping that information from them. So the people in Libya, people in Turkey are so upset with him. He built this big mansion. Their agriculture is no good. Their companies are going down.
He also pulled an Obama. He removed all the good military leaders out of the army and put in his people who are not trained well, who are not. He did what Obama did here.
He put people that were loyal to him, not military tacticians or anything like that. And so he's really weakened everything.
The Turkish army knows that the Egyptian army is better than they are. And they don't want to just, they said, one of the things they said in the sit-rep is they said, how is it that we can encourage our soldiers to fight side by side with mercenaries who are fighting against a Muslim state and who are fighting with Egypt? And Egypt will be fighting against, he said, we cannot encourage our soldiers to do this. They won't do it.
In the Muslim culture, evidently it's an absolute no-no to fight against another Muslim. You just can't do that. You don't do that, period. Well, here they are. Turkish soldiers with mercenaries of questionable background are being asked to go in and fight in a Muslim country
against that
and
country,
kill Muslims,
and against Egypt. It's something that it goes against all their training, all their belief system, all their oaths of office, and all that other stuff.
Let me ask you guys this. Robert Justice is saying that Erdogan is tight with Putin, that he apparently saved his life from an assassination coup attempt by the CIA. I've never heard that before.
I don't believe that, but I do know that Erdogan does speak to Putin from time to time, but Putin gives him nothing. He went and begged Putin to make Egypt open up for Turkey, and Putin blew him off. Putin did not. He said, can't do it.
Yes. See, it's funny. I always, whenever somebody mentions Erdogan and someone, I want to see if they've purchased the cardboard cutout and have the standard photo.
There he is.
He's been in Russia many times.
But he looks like a cardboard cutout there.
But see, at one time,
he does.
Putin was hacked off at Erdogan, and so Putin shut off the purchase of just the tomatoes, wasn't it? Shut off the purchase of tomatoes from Turkey, and it crippled that sector of their agriculture, and that was millions of dollars a week.
Yeah, that was, we'll do whatever you want, please open it up again. But so, they have a relationship, but I don't think Putin owes Erdogan anything.
No.
And he certainly isn't
the other way around.
Yeah, he certainly isn't going to do anything to help him in his scheme to take over North Africa.
But as JoAnne and I have learned over these last 10 years or 12 years, what happens politically most of the time makes no sense. There's so many twists and turns and underhanded deals here and background deals there. You never know what's going on. But what we've seen all along is a real steady force has been Putin. And these other players have come in and out, and they've come in and out, but Putin never gives up anything. He's always maintaining a real normal, level position, and he's not ever acting as the aggressor.
Dark Hostess feels that Putin looks tiny in the photo. I can't disagree with that. I think Erdogan is extremely tall, and Putin is kind of under 6 feet. So
Putin's
I'm
about
not
5'6" or 8". He's a short guy.
He's not very tall. But
I'm not one to call that height short.
I can tell you that. Yeah.
Now, we're just about out of time here, guys, so we're going to be starting our sponsor-exclusive show in just about 5 minutes. Before we do that, I want to let people know that they can learn more about you. There have been some loudmouths in the chat here who, maybe they should go over to LibyanWarTheTruth.com. They should purchase the DVD before they run their mouths in the chat. But Jimmy and JoAnne are the only known individuals to have escaped capture by Al-Qaeda. And for people who sponsor Jimmy and JoAnne on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, you're going to get free shipping on this DVD now that virtually every online platform is shutting down anyone who doesn't share the message that you better do whatever they say and not ask any questions. They basically deplatform you. We may have to dust off some of those old DVD players and start sending around some optical discs to actually get this information. But people who have questions about Jimmy and JoAnne and their history in Libya should definitely get this DVD. They should certainly do it before they post a lot of stupid nonsense in the comments. But Jimmy and JoAnne were in Libya for 4 years. They started an oil services business there, and they established very strong relationships with a variety of different members of the tribes. They're in regular communication with them. And we're lucky enough to have them join us here on Crowdsource the Truth, where they can share that information. I've just learned something today. I had to look it up while you were telling us, but a sit rep is a report, a military report on the current status. So in just under 5 minutes, people are going to be able to join us on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth, where we're going to go through that sit rep in great detail, and people will be able to download it after the show if they're sponsors of Jimmy and JoAnne. This is a detailed report and the information they spend all week putting together. I really want people to sponsor the co-hosts on Crowdsource the Truth, as well as sponsoring Crowdsource the Truth. So I hope that people will do that. We'll see everybody in just a few minutes. Thanks for watching.